Our topics are photosynthesis and respiration. We started talking about photosynthesis and the chemical equation, which we'll talk about again here in a second. Photosynthesis is a chemical reaction, and we know this because when you put something in a reactant, and then you have some type of energy, which is in our case the sun, out comes a product, which in our case of talking about photosynthesis will be the sugar, the oxygen, and the energy. So we consider this to be the most important chemical reaction on the planet because without photosynthesis, plants wouldn't exist. Without plants, people wouldn't exist. So what is the chemical equation? We talked about this. Here's a chance for you to go ahead and write it out yourself. I'll give you, pause the video and write it down and see if you can remember. So let's go ahead and look at it. What we have as a reactant, which is on this side of the equation, it's carbon dioxide plus water. Carbon dioxide comes from the air. Oxygen or the water comes from the plant's roots, sucked up like a straw. Sunlight is our activation energy. Our yield is what this arrow is called. So that's the yield that's causing the reaction to go to completion. And then the product is sugar and oxygen. The sugar is used in the plant to create ATP, which allows the plant to continue all its cellular processes. Remember, this is cellular level. Photosynthesis is cellular level. Inside each tiny little cell inside a plant, the billions and billions of cells it has, this is happening. So, and it's happening in a particular place. So this whole process takes place inside of the chloroplast. It does it through the chlorophyll. The chlorophyll is what's absorbing the sunlight, and the chloroplast is a place to hold it, like a container. But this is the reactants, this is the products. Out comes sugar for the plant and oxygen for us to breathe, as well as we'll see this oxygen later. So here's the chemical equation in the equation format, which is telling you there has to be 6 molecules of carbon dioxide. Now, that means there has to be 6 separate molecules of it to start this, plus 6 molecules of water. That's the H2O. And then your sunlight, and the product is going to be the sugar. There's only going to be 1 sugar made, so see how important this process is? Look how much it takes to make 1 sugar molecule, and then it makes 6 oxygen. Now, the reason why you have these coefficients is because it balances out this equation. This side of the equation is equaling this side of the equation, which is a chemical equation rule. It has to balance. You can't create nor destroy energy. That's why it has to be equal on both sides. I'll show you that later. So, as we just mentioned, I just told you what that said. Now, to describe photosynthesis, the process of changing light energy into chemical energy. We just said that. Energy is stored as sugar. We just said that. Occurs in plants and some algae. Anything that's green pretty much. Plants need light energy. We said that too. They need carbon dioxide and water. Talked about that as well. Takes place in the chloroplast. Mentioned that as well. Using the chlorophyll, which is the green pigment in the plant. We talked about that as well. What happens during photosynthesis? Plants capture the light from the energy of the sun. We said that. It's going to make sugar. We said that. Sunlight provides energy needed by a chlorophyll to change molecules of carbon dioxide and water into glucose. This is highly important to remember. This is exactly what's occurring. And then what it's doing is releasing the oxygen in the reaction. Again, keeping some of it behind for the next step. Why is this important to us? Well, we just mentioned we can't live. We wouldn't have food to eat. We wouldn't have oxygen to breathe, and we'd all die. So we have to have it. It's part of that food chain that we've talked about. Oxygen is released for us to use, and it's necessary for all living things. Okay, I'm going to pause you to think about these questions, and then we'll discuss more later. Make sure you know the chemical equation well, and we'll walk through that again in another video.